Alright, welcome back guys. Glad to be doing this again. We are here with a new tune this week. So this is a tune called The Road to Lisdoonvarna, which is actually a slide. I'll talk a little bit about the difference between a slide and a jig here in a minute. But this tune is a great tune. One of our regular Cheyenne people requested that we learn this, and it's a nice tune to get started with. So I'll play it again 3 times. First time slow motion, second time a little bit faster, and then the third time how it might go if I was playing in a session or performance. So there was our first tune, The Road to Lisdoonvarna today. As I was saying earlier, that's a slide. A couple of differences between slides. They're related to jigs in the regards of both tunes divide the beat into groups of 3. So a jig would divide into jiggity, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and a slide does a similar thing. Some of the differences though is the phrasing. The slide anymore is typically notated in a time signature that we call 12/8. So we put 12 of those subdivisions into a group. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 in a group, where a jig typically groups them in groups of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which makes this tune, it's a little bit more complicated to learn in the sense of the feeling of the phrase. The first, second, third, fourth phrase feels a little bit longer because there's more notes, even though it's still only a measure long. Another difference with the slide is where it's found. Oftentimes slides are very popular down in an area of Ireland called Slieve Lucra, which is like it's like saying the tri-state area or something like that. It's just a sort of area in Ireland. It's primarily in the southwest corner in the counties of Cork and Kerry. And in that area they play lots of slides and oftentimes a lot of polkas, which are not as widely spread in other parts of Ireland. So just a few interesting things about the slide. So we'll go ahead and dive into learning the A section. So again, we'll break down. Once you listen one time through the whole A section, this is a standard form and it goes A, B, B. And see if you can find any of those phrases that match. Second phrase. Third phrase. Fourth phrase. may have noticed that this also follows a very standard setup of the first and third phrase match, the second and fourth phrase do not. So we'll dive right into our first phrase. So again, this first phrase, this first measure of the Road to Lisdoonvarna has 12 subdivisions in it. So it's a little bit longer than the couple of jigs that we learned before. So we'll break it actually in half. You can start this with a pickup, but we're going to start right on that E downbeat. So listen to the first phrase. You notice it has a lot of a ba, 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 which again is a more common rhythmic phrasing, rhythmic grouping in slides than you would find in jigs, which oftentimes have a higher number of triplets, jiggity, jiggity. So this first bit, let's break that down. It starts with an E, B, B. So for fiddle players, I'm putting my first finger on the D string and the A string at the same time. So it has a little turnaround at that A, back to the A, then it climbs up. Let's circle that first bit a few times around. Ready, and here we go. Again. Two more times. Last time. Let's go ahead and put that little phrase into our full A section. So that phrase matches the third phrase. So I'll give you a little bit of a cue so you can play along with the third phrase as well. Here we go from the beginning, no pickup yet. 1, 2, 3, ready, here we go. Listen. Play. Let's repeat. Third phrase. So let's get those second and fourth phrases in there. Our second phrase starts a little bit lower. Let's see. Here's our second phrase. So a little bit more wiggly than our first phrase. It starts on an F, A, A. F, A, A, B, A. Let's just take those first notes together a few times. Ready? Here we go. Ready, and one more time. After that, it drops down to the open D. This is a little climbs up to F sharp, climbs back down. So there's no skips, just climbing one note after a time. Ready, go. Time. Let's put that second phrase together. So starting on the ready, here we go. Let's do that 3 times in a row. We'll circle it around. Ready, here we go. In with our whole A part again before we get into the fourth phrase. So starting with the E, B, B to start, and F, A, A in the middle, and the back to your E, B, B. So it's this little pattern which is kind of nice if you get a little lost to grab onto those, especially that E, B, B. That phrase comes back quite a lot. Here we go, the whole A part, we'll play it twice through. First, second, third phrase, I'll fill in the fourth. 1, 2, 3, ready, here we go. F sharp. Third phrase. Listen. Beginning. Fourth phrase. Nice job. Did you catch that pickup into the repeat? It's an open D to bring us around. It gives us a nice little lift back into the first part. So we've got that fourth phrase to learn, and then we'll have the entire A section ready to go. Fourth phrase starts on a high C sharp. The nice thing about it is until it drops down to that low B, which is the same note we started on, all of the notes are neighboring notes. We don't have any skips in there. So we start by going up, and then we'll go all the way down to the open A. Ready, try it, go. And you notice how we have that longer note in there? And we go up to a B to end it. And 2 E's are left. Let's do it a couple of times. Ready, whole fourth phrase. Ready, here we go. Ready, go. Two more times. For the whole A part. We'll play through it 4 times. The first 2 times we'll play slowly. The second 2 times we'll pick up the tempo just a little bit. Here we go. Let's add that pickup in at the beginning. Ready, here we end. F sharp. Third phrase. Fourth phrase. Beginning. One more time. Alright, we've got the whole A section. Would recommend if you're still feeling like you need a little bit more review on some of those notes to back the video up and get those notes down in the A section before moving on to the B. Alright, welcome to the B section of the Road to Lisdoonvarna. So this B section, listen a couple of times through, you'll notice it starts up much higher than the A part, which is again a very common form in Irish tunes. Here we go. Did you also notice that the fourth phrase of the A part comes back to be the fourth phrase in the B part? So the nice thing about learning those is we already know a part of the tune. So one of the tricky parts of this section is that the phrases do not have as clear cut of an end. The first and second phrase kind of meld together. So we'll break it down a little bit differently to try and help chunk it into pieces that make a little bit of sense. So it starts on a high E and goes up. And then goes down, hits the high G, and then goes down to the D. So again, this is all in a scale passage. We're not skipping any notes. Let's try that a couple times. Here we go. Let's try it again. Let's go one more time now. From that D, we're going to skip down to a B. So starting on that B, so the thing with all of these phrases, they have this little up and then down, little lower, up and then down, little lower, up and then down. They're not exactly sequenced because it's not the same intervals every time. We're not always going up the same number of notes, but it kind of gives you that sense of cascading. So let's try that starting on the B again. It goes up to the D, and then goes back to a C sharp. Let's try it again. Ready, here we go. Go two more times. Ready, and. Last time, ready, go. So let's take that first bit that we learned and the second bit that we learned and put them together. Starting on the high E, going up. Ready, here we go. Back down, skip to B. Let's try that a couple times together. Ready, here we go. Let's go one more time. Ready, and. From that C sharp, we drop down to the B. So this is that same interval, D to B, C sharp, sorry, to open A. So let's listen to that second part. So it's mostly, again, neighboring notes. We drop to the open A, climb up to the D. Let's do that again. Ready, and. And then it ends on two Bs. So we've got that minor third interval again. So we'll take that sort of third part, second part, however we want to think about that, and circle that a couple of times, starting on the C sharp, going to the A. Ready, here we go. Climb up, back to B. Same thing, go. One more time. So let's put, this is sort of the first and second phrase, and we'll put all of those pieces of the puzzle together, starting on the high E, going up to the G, and then back down. Ready, here we go. Skip to B, skip to A, skip to B. Let's circle that around. We'll do it 3, 4, 5 times in a row. Ready, here we go. Ready, go. So you've actually learned the whole B part. It's just a matter of figuring out there's a fork in the road that happens between the third and fourth phrase. Because the first and second phrase don't really have a real clear, obvious division when you're playing this tune, I think of it more as a fork in the road. If we go one way, it's the fourth phrase. If we go the other way, it's the second phrase. Because our third phrase starts out the same way as our first phrase, like our standard pattern. And then here we switch back to that A section fourth phrase. So I kind of think of that C sharp right there. We reach a fork in the road. If we go down to the A, that's our second phrase. If we go up to the D, it starts our fourth phrase. So that C sharp is really important. So let's play that once and just land on that C sharp together so you know exactly which C sharp is our key guide in our map. Ready? Here we go. Here. That C sharp is the one that will decide if we're in the second phrase or in the fourth phrase. So let's take our third and fourth phrase now and repeat those a couple of times around, just to get the feel of how they link together. Ready? Here we go. Here's that C sharp, D. Same thing, go. Times. Last time. We're ready to put the whole B section together. As before, we'll play through it 4 times. First 2 a little bit slower, second 2 a little bit quicker, to start to get a feel of the overall tune. Here we go. Beginning. Ready, here we go. Phrase. Here comes that fork in the road. Beginning of the B. From there, we'd give that pickup to circle all the way back into the A section. So A part is learned, B part is learned, all we've got left is to put them together. Let's play through our tune two A's, two B's, and then we'll repeat the whole thing. We'll go through it 4, maybe 5 times. Each time we'll make the tempo come up just a tiny bit, so by the end we'll be playing it at a good pace. Here we go. Starting with the E, B, B. Ready, here we go. first slide, The Road to Lisdoonvarna. As always, go back, take a look at any of the sections that you need to. Again, listen to it a lot. This is an oral tradition. This is passed on mostly by listening. So don't be afraid to put it on repeat for a while and just listen to the recording over and over a few times. That'll really help get your brain and your body to know where the melody's going. And if you know what the melodies are supposed to sound like, then you can really be aware of when you've got the notes correct and when you need to go back and change and figure out what the notes are. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week for another tune and hopefully a session sometime.